Hi, welcome to my vocabulary app named medEASE, where we take learning medical terminology and make it a breeze. Every person utilizes their native language daily, and each person's language differs. And in the world of medicine, this is no different. Students seeking a career in a medical field have to learn a whole new language to perform at a professional level, and that can be quite a challenge for some. Nursing students are a prime example of this. Oftentimes, the best nurses aren't the straight-A student or the overachiever. In fact, some of the best nurses on the floor became nurses at a later period in their lives because, like a lot of us, things happen. They had children, other things came about, and they just never had a chance to until they were older. Meet one such student. Her name is Sandra Crowder, and she has been the head of nursing assistants at the Wake Medical Hospital's Acute Traumatic Brain Injury and Spinal Cord Rehabilitation Ward for over 20 years. She had the dream in high school of becoming a registered nurse, but after high school, she became pregnant. She went into a certified nursing assistance program and then worked as one as she had two more children. She's not married, and she's been out of high school for almost 30 years. She works doubles a lot of times to put food on the table for her family, and she still harbors the dream of going on and finishing her college degree and getting her registered nursing license. On the 20th anniversary of her employment at Wake Medical Rehab Center, they honored Sandra's exceptional patient care and her dedication to that ward by giving her a full scholarship to her nursing school of choice. So Sandra's really excited at the thought of finally being able to attain her dream. But at the same time, she voices her fear of failing, of not being able to learn a whole new language, and her previous unsuccessful attempts at school. So our challenge was how to make an application that is easy to understand by someone that is not technologically savvy, and do it in a way that speaks to the tenets of adult learning theory and make it something that takes the roadblock of learning something huge out of the picture and breaks it down into engaging, easily understood pieces. Our problem is, as a nursing student, trying to gain credibility while on the floor during clinicals and for after school as a novice nurse. Sandra needs a way to learn the terminology used in the hospital and how to use it in a proper context so that she is seen as professional and knowledgeable by both patients and staff. We believe that by incorporating more interactive activities in our application, such as providing experiences where they are given a scenario, they are required to answer questions that utilize newly learned terminology and context, and other fun, engaging activities will enable Sandra to learn the appropriate terms and when to use them so that she can begin to feel more confident in her ability to converse with other staff in a more empowered manner. Adult learning states that to make an adult excited to learn and retain the information, certain conditions and criteria need to be met. We focused on the criteria of making it relevant and making it useful immediately. We also made it interactive because they want to be able to have it mean something meaningful in their workplace. And we made it mobile because they have to be able to do it during a really hectic, busy life. After conducting my initial round of user interviews, I began diagramming the flow the application would take. Business requirements stated that they needed to be able to log in, sign up, add a vocabulary word and its meaning, and learn some vocabulary. The user interviews told me that they needed to be done in a contextual manner with the ability to interact. The games played in this app lean heavily on the learning theory for adults and allow the player the ability to decide what level they wish to play at so that they can challenge themselves. I also designed it to be more personable, with the player able to customize and personalize how they interact with it. To perform initial user flow testing, I utilized the Wizard of Oz technique, where the one person being tested works with low fidelity or hand-drawn sketches, and the person conducting the test acts as the application. So when someone would click something that would have a modal as part of the process, I would place a post-it note on top of the screen to mimic that modal. Having used Marvel in other projects, I turned to it because of its capabilities of being able to design in the program as well as upload the hand-drawn sketches. To make my application a bit more user-friendly to test, I took the hand-drawn sketches and turned them into mid-fidelity screens and made an interactive prototype of the program. With a great deal of confidence, I started my user testing, sure that I was going to be the one person in the history of all user testing to have the perfect application. It wasn't long before the gods of hubris impaled me upon their sheaths of humility, and I learned my lesson. I began my testing with 3 participants. The requirements for all participants were to be currently enrolled in or already working as a member of a healthcare-related occupation where medical terminology was part of their daily lives. All 3 participants found difficulty in signing up and then upgrading their memberships. 2 gave up on the task while a third found a workaround. That solution was something that could only occur if you had familiarity with the mobile applications. The labels used for different levels proved to be a confusion point, as did the end flow of the game. Finding where to find the vocabulary area review was also a point of contention because the wording was different than what was stated in the task to perform. After this round of testing, I fixed the sign-up navigation issues because I wanted to test how it actually worked when the whole navigation flow issue had been fixed. It seemed to do the trick because the other participants were able to sign up and go to their profile pages with no problems. The cleaning up of the end game questions were also resolved, and the time for task completion was markedly improved. I employed the Nielsen's grading system for errors and then also provided them with the system usability survey. This is a 10-question survey that's known as a Likert survey. There is a scale from 1 to 5, with 1 being seriously disagree, up to 5, which is seriously agree. From this survey, I was able to come up with a usability and learnability score and an overall score of the whole application, which gives you a percentile ranking of all if it's compared to all applications. 68 is the norm. This application came in at 89 total and had a 79 for usability and a 90 for learnability. The participants also answered a few questions about what they really liked, they didn't like, hated, and their initial impressions. From all of this, what needed to be fixed is the navigation. There needs to be a simplification of the sign on and sign up, and then elevating your membership status, and the phrasing so that it's not so confusing to people that are just starting it. So what did I do? Well, after the first 3 participants, I went ahead and I fixed the onboarding portion by making it actually work and then using a streamlined approach to getting them straight to the profile page where they could then upgrade their membership. I changed around the wording for some of the levels for the games. So I changed it from just new to first year nurse so that they understood that better. And then I also gave them a way to know that they had added a word correctly by having a confirmation. My next steps would be optimizing the flow for everything, taking some of the user suggestions like letting people be able to flag words that they're having problems with and having those automatically added into their vocabulary review would be helpful. There will be a dark mode because people requested that. And then we would start with a development of a beta product so that we could actually have a working prototype for people to test before we launched. What have I learned? Don't become attached to one design or feature. I really liked a certain design that I had, and it just proved horrible by the first 3 testers. Always keep the design brief in your mind. I started designing and going off the reservation, and that doesn't exactly work well when it's not meeting the business goals. So I had to rein myself in, edit, and work within those confines. And then, as always, empathy, empathy, empathy. Advocate for your user and keep them in mind at all times. Thank you very much.